say that cranes will bring you long life and much good luck. And when cranes rise above the city and the countryside, it looks as though 100 golden suns burst in the sky. But that day, August 6th, 1945, it looked as though 1,000,000 suns burst in the sky. It was not the cranes, it was Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt, the first atomic bomb, the first nuclear weapon to be dropped on human city bricks and boards, flew through the air. Everywhere there were fires, there was a bright light, and many who looked at it never could see again. People ran through the streets, and has told us they ran through the streets and they cried, "Water, water, help me, water," anything to cool the burning of their own skin. Many hospitals were destroyed. Nurses and doctors were killed in that bomb blast. And yet the people helped each other. They set up Red Cross stations, and everyone did what they could to help someone else. 2 weeks later, still many were dying, and still today people die from that explosion. But a strange thing happened that day.
Beautiful flowers began to grow. A strange mutation of life in the middle of all of that sadness and dying. Beautiful colors of violet, pink, blue, and white. All the kinds of flowers bursting on the hillside. And they gave the people of Hiroshima and Nagasaki hope. There was a little girl named Sadako Story, and she was 2 years old when the atom bomb hit. And as they began rebuilding the city and doing all of the construction and helping, she and her parents would be walking, driving, talking. And she would ask, "Why do they have to rebuild? What happened?" And of course, them being reasonable parents gave her the generic answer, hoping that they would never have to revisit the subject again. But Sadako grew up loving many things, but one of the most fun things that she did was run. She loved to run, to be able to feel her feet on the pavement, shaking off the emotional stress. She loved to race. And she was in one race, and she could just see the finish line glimmering in the sun. She just passed the last person she needed to pass to win. And then the next thing she knew, her tired body was hitting the cement. And she woke up in the hospital. The first thing she noticed was all of the smiling of the nurses and the visitors. It was too much. And she knew that when they turned around that there would be tears in her eyes. But she got another visitor, and her name was Chizuko. And now Chizuko was a very vibrant spirit, and she was not one to get all choked up and teary-eyed and not know what to say in the hospital. Oh no, not Chizuko. She marched through those hospital doors and sauntered up to Sadako's bed and said, "We learned a story in school today." Sadako, of course, feeling as rotten as she did, said, "So, what's that going to do?" Chizuko was not taken aback, though. She said, "Well, we learned that if you fold 1,000 paper cranes, it'll give you good luck." Well, that's stupid. How can folding paper birds give me good luck? And Chizuko said, "Here, I'll show you." And right then, as Sadako mimicked Chizuko's neat folds sloppily with her own, Sadako began to hope again.
She started to fold slowly, and then the cranes started to pile up on the window ledge on the little table beside the bed, and she saw them. And every day, and often her family would come, and they'd look at the cranes, and then sometimes the kids would come, and they'd count the cranes, 100, 200, 300, 400, until she had folded 1,000 cranes. But she started over again. Again, the kids would count the cranes, and they would think, Sadako's going to fold another 1,000 cranes. But one day, she was too tired to fold the cranes. The next day, she was again too tired. And a few days later, Sadako died in a hospital room. One of those days, one of those last days, she had held up the crane, the small crane, partly folded, and said, "I'm going to write peace on your wings and send you around the world so every woman knows should have peace." Kids came back again, and they folded the rest of the cranes. She had folded 661 cranes the second time. And then they started raising money to build the statue that Quincy told us about. They raised what would be $20,000 in our money, and they built that statue, the children did, by asking other children in Japan and raising the money to do it. It's still there. The base of the statue is the beautiful Mount Hooray, the mountain of paradise, and at the top is a girl holding a crane in her outstretched arms. At the base are some words, and they are these: "This is our cry.
This is our prayer.
To dream
Peace around the world."